a diversity of matter meeting its form in the work of justice and activism. That's how Aristotle, I think, would describe us. So you noticed, I gave them some Plato, and the Plato is just this kind of, let's call it matter. It's this ball of matter not doing anything, doesn't have a shape, doesn't have form. But Plato it's pretty awesome. It smells good, brings back really great memories of childhood. It can represent for us a beautiful tapestry of diverse matter, which is what we are. So what happens when I take this, and like when Louise and Poppy and Maria took their Plato, their matter, what they did is they went ahead and impressed a form and a function into their matter. So at first, this was just this little ball of diverse beauty. And now I've impressed this function of a bowl, or it could be an ashtray, but since it's Sunday, let's just say it's a bowl. I've impressed this bowl onto this matter, and now it has purpose and meaning. I mean, I can put water in here, I can put food in here, I can carry things around in here. So if our community is this beautiful tapestry of diverse matter, what is the form that we impress on this matter to give us meaning and live our life out in the world well? See that? That's Aristotle. Here's what I think. Our UU congregation as diversity of matter. First, at our Unitarian Universalist core, we are a covenantal community, bound not by creed, but by shared commitment, love, justice, and spiritual depth. We can think of our values, commitment, principles, covenant, and spirituality as our beautiful, diverse tapestry of matter. But matter alone doesn't do much. Now, sometimes, I've had times in my life where I needed to be very inert matter within a community of people. I needed that. I needed to sit there and just heal. But then it came time where I was looking for a form. Now, here's the exciting thing. As Unitarian Universalists, I think our matter most definitely needs a form, and this form is our justice work here at 4th U and our activism work here at 4th U. These things shape our Unitarian Universalist identity within this community. This is the way we bring this diverse unity of matter into the world and give us purpose and meaning. Justice and activism are our form. When we march, when we advocate, when we act with compassion, we are not just doing justice, we are embodying who we are. Our form and matter, I messed it up, but anyway, our form and matter are coming together and are combined and alive in the world. Okay, you see that? So, remember, at its core, spirituality is our deep longing to move out beyond ourselves, to transcend ourselves, in authentic, compassionate living. That's it. That's the definition. Now, think back with me a long time ago to last Sunday. It's a long time ago. Remember last week, we had this amazing speaker named Crystal Walthall. And she called us to embrace justice as a bold act of love, demanding action, rejecting neutrality, and recognizing our shared liberation in an interdependent world. Do you remember this? I know a lot of you were there. This is why our justice work is not separate from our spirituality. It is our spirituality in action. Now watch this. When our beautiful tapestry of matter is shaped by the form of justice and activism, and when this is lived out in the world in our lives, that is the very concrete definition of embodied spirituality. And I think I can say this, Reverend Sam, I think I can say this. I think that this might be what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist in its fullest sense. Can I say that? Okay. It's a good thing that Reverend Sam is here. I can check with him along the way. So, because now, if you are interested in what we've been talking about, you're going to be really excited because I'm about to invite some of our justice leaders up for a very short Q&A. These leaders are the face of our form here. These embodied form right here, and they're amazing people. I only know them a little bit, but I've really been getting to know them, and I can tell you, these folks care deeply about justice and activism. They care about this community, and they care about taking this community out into the world. They're about to tell us how we can live an embodied Unitarian Universalist spirituality in this city and in this life. So, if Barbara and Bree are ready to come up, would you guys come up and join me over? So folks, I am sitting up here with Barbara Woods. I think a lot of you know Barbara, but some of you don't know Barbara. So what I wanted to do was, like I said before, get these faces, the voices, their stories in front of you. So Barbara, I have some questions for you. My first question is, who are you? What do you do out there in the world? And what brought you to justice work in the first place?
My name is Barbara Woods. I'm a teacher and a museum educator and an artist. And what brought me to justice work is I totally agree with you, Zach. This is how to express spirituality, is by trying to make the world a better place.
First major question. What is the core mission of your work here at 4th U, or that you do on behalf of 4th U or with 4th U or all that stuff? And what impact has it had so far?
Okay, this one I'm going to read because we all did this together. I'm a member of the environmental justice team, but there's a group of us. I'm not the only one. So I'm just going to read our mission statement that you can also find on our website. We are deeply committed to environmental sustainability, confronting systems that perpetuate and profit from environmental racism, partnering with people who are directly affected by the climate collapse. As Unitarian Universalists, we live with an awareness of our climate crisis and the deep environmental injustices of our time. We are grounded in the Unitarian Universalist 7th principle, which is the respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
Next important question. What challenges have you faced, and how can the congregation, these folks and the folks that are on Zoom, my Zoom congregation, and the folks that aren't here today, how can the congregation support these efforts now and in the long run?
Well, how many people believe that when they have a cup or a water bottle, when they recycle it, does it get recycled? Raise your hand if you think it gets recycled. How many people think it may not get recycled? You are right. Only 9% of all the things we put in recycling gets recycled. So if you're looking at a bag of 10 things that you're putting in recycling, less than one of those things is actually getting recycled. So there are two bills. New York State is actually a landmark state for this. There's groundbreaking new bills that are being ferried through our state assembly and state senate with a lot of opposition from chemical companies, because we are the only state so far doing this. And these bills will enable and allow a real recycling program in New York State. That's the first thing. The second thing is the Better Bottle Bill, which will increase the return rate from 5 cents to 10 cents for every liquid-filled container, including wine bottles. So those are both really important bills. We got them through the New York State Senate last year. We had a huge lobbying day. 300 of us went up to Albany to lobby all of our elected representatives, and we got it through the New York State Senate. Now we need to get it through the New York State Assembly.
Here's a really important question to follow that up, because that sounds like a lot of stuff. And when I hear it explained like that, I mean, I get excited, but I'm also like, how in the world can I make a difference with that? So how can members of our congregation get involved in your work, both in the short term and over time?
Thank you so much for that good question. So the first thing you can do is call your elected representatives, and we have a calling table set up back there about these two bills. The second thing you can do is join us. We are meeting on the third Wednesday of every month. Our next meeting is Wednesday, March 19th. We are also going to set up a clothing swap on Sunday, April 13th, so we need help for that. And the clothing swap is because if you look at your shirt that you're wearing right now, Believe it or not, 90% of the clothing is made out of plastic. So, and that is not going anywhere. It's not going in anywhere except for landfills or getting burnt or getting dumped in South America. So that's how we could really use your help. And you can also reach us at envirojustice@4thu.org. And you'll also find this on the website, but it's envirojustice@4thu.org. And can I say the last thing? The thing that you can really help us with today is today we need your help writing and calling your elected representatives to oppose the SAVE Act, which will create unnecessary barriers to voter registration by requiring everyone to have a passport or birth certificate in your first name. So if you changed your name when you got married, you will not be able to vote. Also, a lot of elderly people or people who have low income will not be able to vote because sometimes people don't know where those things are. So we need your help. We have 2 tables in the back. My husband, Steve Marcus, is at one. You can write postcards to your elected representatives, and you can also call your elected representatives, and I'm going to be at the calling table. Thank you.
Wait, so you're saying as soon as the service is finished, we can actually practice taking the form of justice and activism? That's what you're saying? Right back there where Steve is? Like, that's where everyone, I want you to turn around and look at Steve. Everyone see Steve? There he is. And if you forget where Steve is, there's this really cool justice and activism sign behind Steve. So just look for that, okay? All right. Thank you so much, Barbara. Now, guess who I want to bring up next? Brian and Anthony. So, not only do you get to hear from Barbara, but you get to hear from Brian and Anthony. And I'm telling you, these guys have some really great things to say. So, the first thing I'm going to do is ask them the same thing I asked Barbara. Who are you guys? Tell us the story of how you got into justice work here at 4thu.
Hi, everybody. Anthony Pilgrim, and I'm a musician, actor, teacher, communications consultant, sailor, do lots of different things. Grew up in Atlanta, and my parents were quite active. They marched with Martin Luther King, and as a kid in Atlanta, I was in an all-white school in 6th grade, which became half white, half black in 7th grade. So from a very early age, social justice and racial justice was a large part of me, and I was a member of the Unitarian congregation in Atlanta, the LRY, and was active in racial justice and social justice there. And when I came to New York, I wanted to continue that work and was affiliated actually across the park at All Souls for a little while. But joining here, one of the most meaningful aspects of membership for me at 4thu has been my involvement with the racial justice team and partnering with Brian as co-leads, but also with these wonderful members of our congregation with whom I've been lucky enough to become really close friends and partnering in work that is really important and dear to my heart and what I think I want to do in making a difference.
So my background is pretty much the exact opposite of Anthony's. I think mine really shows the power of volunteering. I am a self-described white guy from Jersey. I grew up in a suburb, conservative. Half of my friends are probably Trump supporters. But it was when I volunteered at the Doe Fund. People might know the guys with the blue buckets and blue jackets sweeping up the streets. I was helping homeless 20-year-olds actually getting their GED and helping them get jobs. And I guess I was exposed to white privilege before I even heard the term. I don't even know if it was in use yet. And like 2 examples of the white privilege I saw that I had growing up was I had a safety net. If I did something or my friends did something and we, messed up as kids do, our parents would smooth it out. We had a place to go. There was usually some money there that could help smooth things over. These kids, they didn't have that. They ended up on the streets a lot of times. Another example is, when it came to policing, criminal justice system, I grew up being told the police are your friend, and they are in the suburbs. Even if we got into trouble, we usually got a warning. Worst comes to worst, your parents would get a lawyer, things would go away. My dough friend guys, when they got into trouble for things that would never, ever happen to me, jaywalking, crossing between the moving subway cars, they would end up with a criminal record, and it'd follow them for their life, and they'd have a really hard time getting a job. And I just saw this and said, this is really a problem. There's two different sides here to life. So I did that for 3, 4, 5 years. And our group really expanded, did great work. And then unexpectedly overnight, funding got cut. And the group just went away. And that was it. And I realized, policy and our politicians play a really big role in this whole process. So later on, years later, when I got involved with Indivisible, I learned how you can affect policy by influencing your politicians. So, that's what I did. I'm involved with democracy group and racial justice. I've got some examples of things we've done in the past.
Yes, go ahead.
So I've got a list here. I'm just going to rattle them off. I've been, here for 7 years and doing justice work, and hopefully, some of these you attended, took part in. They bring back good memories. So, I guess our mission statement: the 4th U Racial Justice Team advocates for fair and just treatment of all members of all racial groups. So that's what we're trying to do, and we do that really through 3 ways. And I think this is true for all the justice groups. We raise awareness. We educate, and then we take action, which is, what Zach said. So, awareness, we get the word out, that's pretty basic. But, education, we've done things like film screening. We had a bunch of films on Rikers. We showed a film, Suppress, the Right to Vote. We try to follow up with an action item. So after Suppressed, we did postcard writing to voters of color, which we're still doing. We had a panel discussion series. We had the Racial Justice Workshop, which wasn't our group, but that was a 4th U endeavor, was tremendous. As far as actions, rallies and public spectacle, there was a Black Lives Matters vigil here at 4th U for George Floyd. I didn't take part, but I heard there were like 500 people here. It was a lie-in. I know a lot of you did. We collected supplies and prepared care packages for a shelter for asylum seekers. Postcarding, do a ton of postcarding to voters of color. Between our triumvirate we had with Ethical Culture and St. Bart's across the way, all us, you volunteers, mailed over 150,000 postcards to voters. Kind of amazing. I know our congregation did tens of thousands ourselves. We did, and this was really great, and hopefully we can do more of this. We had everybody sign letters to Governor Cuomo. We got hundreds of them. We went out on the street and got people to sign. We had a stack of letters, 6 inches thick. We put a big red bow around them, and then we went over to Cuomo's office and hand-delivered them and said, Governor Cuomo, or his secretary, you've got to do something about this. And, people want you to do things. We did calls to representatives. One thing, call relays, where we'd organize people to call minute by minute by minute by minute, so an office was bombarded, which is like tremendous. So those are some of the things we do, and hopefully we can do more in the future.
Perfect. Yes, thank you. Don't go anywhere yet, though. All right, so you both managed to answer my first 2 questions with your stories, which is fantastic. Now, first of all, isn't it amazing the wealth of wisdom and knowledge and opportunity that you just heard from Barbara, from Anthony, from Brian, and these are just 3 of the justice warriors here at 4th U. And Bree in the back, Now, here is super important question. How can members of our congregation get involved in your work specifically, both in the short term and over time?
All right, so this is sort of the crux of it, right? How do we, as a community and as a congregation, make the kind of change and work towards that together? And so this is at the forefront of what we want the racial justice team and all of our justice teams to focus on, is providing opportunity to work as community to affect change. So in the past, we've partnered with different organizations, most recently a few years ago with the Fortune Society, which works with formerly incarcerated people and helps them rebuild their lives. And this was incredibly rewarding work with them, working with these individuals and helping them realize new lives. And we had some great successes with that. But one of the challenges with Fortune Society was providing opportunities for all of us here. You had to go out to Long Island City, you had to go different places, aligning their needs, the volunteer possibilities with the schedules that our membership has. A lot of times people aren't free until after 5 o'clock or on weekends, and how does that? So one of the things we want to do now with what has transpired in the most recent elections is focus on immigration and that very real challenge before us. So to that end, the racial justice team this year ahead will focus on immigration, and we have identified a couple organizations with whom we might partner. One is, let me get my glasses for this. One is the New York State Immigration Coalition, which provides volunteer opportunities in flyers, phone banking, event logistics, language access, legal clinic support, rallies, demonstration, photographing at these rallies and support and so forth. Another, which is very intriguing, is the Interfaith Center of New York, which provides opportunities with volunteers, for volunteers, artists, athletes, activists, legal clinics, Africana, assisting migrants with applications, and weekly gatherings and support for asylum-seeking families, and food distribution, soup kitchen, support resume writing and mock interviews, clothing drives, respite centers where asylum seekers can access food and social services. So what we want to do is pick one of these organizations, partner with them to make change and do it in as broad a sense as we can. So the reality is we don't have a lot of members of our congregation, but we do have some individuals who are very focused and dedicated on trying to make change. What we want to do is broaden that group of people here who do volunteer and join our justice team. So thank you, big thanks to Zach for creating this opportunity for the congregation to learn about some of the possibilities here. So what we want to do is have a core group, to rebuild our core group to be at least 5 individuals who will commit to a year work on immigration through the racial justice team. And what we do is we meet quarterly, so it's 4 meetings a year. But then if we have an event which we host, which we might do, and we might do that in concert with other partner orgs like All Souls and Ethical Culture and West End Synagogue, and we may host events in this space. Those are few and far between, but when we have one of those, then we have a kind of circle the wagons and there's a little more involvement. So if you are interested in joining our racial justice team, Brian and I will be back at that justice and activism table at the end of this service, and we'd love to talk to you more about that. And when we get that core group together, hopefully in the next month or so, we're going to decide which group we're going to partner with, and then make that next step.
In addition, if you're not willing and can't be a core member, if you just want to volunteer at times, like if we have an event and you can, man the door or something, or help set up or take down, we'll take your name just as a volunteer. And when we have something going on, we'll reach out to you. And then I guess the other level is just be a participant. If we have an event, come take part and, be a part of it all.
Just a quick add-on to that is an example of that. So this last year, the racial justice team partnered with the democracy team to advocate for greater inclusion in our elections, and specifically focused on the African American community and how we encourage their participation. So we held postcarding events, and some of you here were in attendance, but we had this space full of 20 tables of people writing postcards, and we had music, and we had a little food, and we made it into a party. So what we hope to do is more of that, where we build community and do good at the same time.
I'm getting really excited talking about this. It's really hard to just sit up here. So this is great stuff. So do you hear all the good stuff that's happening and all the different ways that we can get involved here at Fourth U? Now, look at their faces, right? So Anthony, that's Anthony's face. Brian's face. These, and you remember Barbara, right? You remember Barbara? Okay, right there. These are the faces of Form here at Fourth U, and they're doing some amazing work, okay? Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. And did you know that right after the service, we'll be able to put this stuff into action back there? Yes? Okay, that's right by that sign. You got it. Okay, thank you guys. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Thank you.